Are we sitting comfortably? Are the lights turned down low, and the shadows lengthening in the room? Are the curtains closed, and are the doors locked? Good.
Then let us begin. The Church of Holy Trinity on Micklegate was originally constructed for Micklegate Priory, a Benedictine foundation, and dates from the 12th century. It has additions in the 13th and 14th centuries, and a tower was added in 1453. It was remodelled after the dissolution of the monasteries. The south aisle was rebuilt during a restoration between 1850 and 1851, and the chancel and vestry were rebuilt between 1886 and 1887. The west front was reconstructed in 1902 to 1905. In 1953, the church was united with St Martin cum Gregory, which is also in Micklegate. In my paranormal library, I have a small paperback entitled The Haunted North Country by C.T. Oxley, where it is stated that the east window at certain times was haunted by either one or two ghosts, a nun and a male figure wearing a surplice. Another story concerns the abbess of a convent which was, in the 16th century, attached to Holy Trinity Church. At the time of the dissolution, soldiers who had arrived to carry out the orders of Henry VIII were confronted by the abbess, who defied them and declared that only over her corpse would they enter the building, and if they murdered her, she would haunt the place until it was replaced by another dedicated to the same purpose. The soldiers are said to have duly obliged and cut her down on the spot, which was a bit drastic, as they could have surely manhandled her out of the way before getting on with orders. And in truth, with Henry VIII, would you disobey an order? No, I thought not. I first had a look around the church and the grounds when I visited York for an interview regarding admission for the degree in archaeology. This church was opposite the University of York's Department of Archaeology, which was then located in a fine old building called Micklegate House, and I had time to kill and was trying to take my mind off the impending interview. So I crossed the road and had a nose about the old church. On that occasion, I was somewhat on edge about the place, but nothing else, and I put it down to the trial by lecturers that was about to happen to me in the archaeology department. I put the visit to the church out of my mind. However, later in my first year, I again entered the church as they were hosting a book sale. I walked up and down the trestle tables, having a look at what was there, but also noticing the somewhat strange atmosphere in the church. It was so very sad and lonely. Something was clearly amiss with the place. Then, as I was looking back down the length of the church from near the door, I watched a slightly indistinct black shadow, which because of the stature could only have been of a female form, but I do state fairly indistinct, which floated across the window at the other end of the church, perhaps 10 feet up from the ground. I could not be certain whether the figure was inside or outside the building, but it started at one side of the window and finished just before the other. It did not walk, of that I am certain. It floated. This was in the middle of the day, and so it couldn't have been caused by card headlamps flashing past the window. Besides, it moved slowly, and not at the speed one would expect of a car flashing past. I saw it for perhaps 3 or 4 seconds as it moved across the window, and then, just before it reached the side nearest to Micklegate, it vanished.